Hi folks, so today is going to be a little different type of video for me. Normally we do, installs and testing of fans that I've bought. Today I decided to do a video showing a repair to a couple of the fans that I own because as I have talked about this issue, it seems that people are more interested in finding a solution. Right here we have a Casablanca Mission. Now, this one I bought used from Habitat and it had been sitting on its blade irons. There is a plate which is attached to the flywheel up in the motor which holds the blades to it. The problem seems to be that if the flywheel gets bent at all, just the slightest amount, the blade screws that hold the blade irons to the plate will rub the light kit pan. This has happened to this one, which was used. I've already fixed this one. But it also happened over time to the new in-box one that I have sitting here on the table that I'm going to walk you guys through the repair on. Basically, it's really simple. We're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver, 3 nylon spacers that are 3/16 inch, and also I had to replace the screws that hook the light pan to the switch housing on the fan. I'll give you a more in-depth information down in the comments where what products I'm using. You'll also need a tiny bit of Scotch tape, which I will explain later what that does. It's nothing, it's not being left on the fan. Alright, so let's dive right in and I'll show you what you need to do. This repair. As you see right here, I have my second Casablanca Mission motor here. This one is mountain iron. This one was new in box. It was installed in this area actually for quite a little while before the rubbing got so bad I took it down because I didn't think it could be fixed. To the right we have, starting at the bottom, our Casablanca Phillips head screwdriver. You can use any Phillips head screwdriver. 3 screws to replace the light pan screws and the 3 spacers and a roll of Scotch tape. Now, I'm doing this on a table. I highly recommend you do this while the fan is installed on the ceiling before you install the blades, or after you install the blades, I should say. I had a little bit of trouble. I'd rather do it up while it's installed. It's a lot easier to do with the spacers. The way that I'm going to tape the spacers in is different, doing it on the table than it is when you install it on the ceiling, and I will explain it when we get to that part. First things first, we're going to take off the glass piece on the bottom of the fan. Now at this point, we've exposed the bottom light pan for the fan. You'll want to unscrew the 3 screws that are around the outer edge here. Those will pull the light pan away from the switch housing. Now, the issue that I will tell you now is that if your fan is installed and you have it hooked up to power, do turn off the power. There are wires that are going to be out exposed. I'm not saying they're being disconnected, but just as a precaution, do turn off the power if you were doing this while the fan is installed. I'm going to unhook these 3 screws. These are the 3 screws that we will be replacing later on. Now, I do want to make a note now. There are 2 sets of holes. The second set is an alignment hole, so this is easier to install. When we go to reinstall the pan, these alignment holes are basically going to go away because of the spacers. So don't panic. The only issue that I will say is that if you buy spacers that are too large for the hole, they will interfere with these. So we're going to pull the light pan away from the fan. Now, in my case, I'm going to disconnect this. When I did this on the ceiling, I left it connected and I let it dangle just because I could do it easier that way. I didn't want to be reconnecting wires while having taped screws waiting there for me and everything. But I did want to show you guys basically the problem here. So you could see on top of this, these marks here, these deep gouges. These are from the flywheel screws rubbing against the top of this. So this is the problem. Basically, the rubber flywheel is up here. It's behind this plate. You see the 4 screws here attaching it. And if this gets bent at all, this plate will bend. These outer screws here that you can see, because I have them installed, are the screws that rub the top of the light plate. Because as you can see, the light plate has a bit of a lip here, and this goes up. So they probably should not have had a lip on this pan when they made it. So anyways, so when this rotates and the flywheel, can go up and down based upon, if it's bent or not, it will rub, especially on the lower speeds. Anyways, so these are where those 3 screws attach, is to the bottom of this switch housing here. So what I'm going to do is I thread a screw through. So you can see where the lock washers on the 3 screws that were here left a mark. You want to thread the screw through those holes. And then if you're installing this on the ceiling or on a table, you take a piece of Scotch tape and you place it over the screw, just to keep it there. Now you repeat this with the other 3 screws. I'm just going to do both of them. And voila, we have 3 screws. They come through, and you take your washers and you place them in. Now, I'm going to put more tape on the inside here. This step does not apply if you were doing it when the fan is installed up. I am only doing that while we're on the table because if I go like this, those washers will fall out. That's why I recommend you do this while the fan is installed or on a hanger so that these washers do not fall out. Okay, so now that those are taped down, we have our 3 screws here. So now we go back to the fan, and if you're installing this again, you reconnect the wires, and then what you really have to do is make sure these wires do not get pinched. And then basically hunt for where the screws are going to go in. Now what I did is I take the tape off. Well, as I'm fishing for screw hole, as I have here, I screw it in. Now, you take the tape off as you go per, but in this case, I don't have to hold the screws up with a screwdriver, but you'll need to hold the screws up with a screwdriver. Then you just tighten. And that's it, basically. So the tape that you used originally, you'll need to get rid of, but so be it. So now all you do is reinstall the light kit. And voila, you have now fixed that issue. At least so far it's fixed my issue. I do not know if this applies to other fans. I would say it probably would help. I know that there are similar designed fans such as the Cathay, which utilize the same system this does. So I'm not sure if that's ever been an issue on those fans, because I do not have one. I know some people have said that they may try this with the Stealths because of rubbing issues as well. I mean, it should work. It's not that much of a difference, but it adds enough difference that the fan no longer scrapes. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please leave a comment below if you guys have any questions. Don't hesitate to let me know. I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. Thank you.